F125 is a game which is under the F1 game franchise, and it is based on the 2025 Formula 1 season. And throughout the years, they have been improving year by year, but EA decided to copy everything from the old game to the new game, which produced something like this. Yeah, pretty much to say the game's physics are broken and you can just spin your car 1,000 degrees around. In this video, I'll talk to you how to drive faster instead of this newly physics added into the F1 game, which is called Dirty Air, and how does the F1 game portrays this physics inside their game comparing to real life, which is probably, in my expectation, not really realistic at all. So what is dirty air exactly? In Formula 1, dirty air is the messy wind left behind a fast car. The wind makes it harder for the car behind to stay close because it loses grip and becomes harder to control. And when it becomes too hard to control, you will end up like George Russell in the 2024 Australia GP. Because of dirty air from Fernando Alonso, he immediately crashed because of the loss of downforce.
He just fully turned into me! Get out!
When an F1 car moves forward, it pushes the air out of the way. This is the Newton's third law in action. The car exerts a force in the air, and the air pushes back because of air resistance. That pushback creates drag, which slows the car down, and downforce, which helps the car stick to the track. But the air behind the car becomes more chaotic and low pressure, so as the following car entering this dirty air, it gets less aerodynamic force. With less force acting on it, the Newton's second law, which is F equals ma, can tell us that the car will accelerate less and lose its grip, making it harder to corner or stay close to the car in front. Most of the time when the low wing setup and high wing setup are tested in the effect of dirty air, the low wing setup gets more understeer and the high wing setup gets more oversteer inside the corner, which can cause really different effects. So how does EA implemented this complex system into the game? EA have implemented into the system by adding random variables that depends on the position of your car inside the corner. Going into the corner, I was going for the racing line while this car was going on the inside line. And when going through the racing line, the car in front gave me dirty air, which gave the Red Bull a clean air, which let him have a better exit. And another example, when going into this corner, I was right on my friend's rears, and when turning into the corner, I immediately experienced what dirty air is like with the understeer. And by comparing with a clean lap and then the dirty air lap, we can see that the minimum speed is really having a lot of differences. Another example here was a Zandvoort, which is at the corner, which I was literally on the person's rears, but in this corner as seen, I had so much understeer, and in this corner alone, I had lost over 3/10 of time. And in this clip with no cars ahead, which I didn't have dirty air, I gained over 3/10 on the car ahead, which have dirty air from the car. And by further comparing the data I have set, which is the minimum speed of these corners, when we are not getting dirty air, we are faster by almost 20 kilometers per hour, which is crazy. But despite so many evidence showing that dirty air makes you slower, but how do you drive fast with dirty air inside the race? The only answer to that question is to pick a different racing line. The reason that I've said that is because dirty air is created by being too close to the rears of the car in front. But what if you go to another line that the car in front wasn't taking, which you are not getting dirty air? The air that you're getting is actually clean air. Even though it's not as quick, but you will still be quicker than the car ahead if you get it right. But if you do not use it right, you will be like me, stuck behind a Mercedes for the rest of your life. For another example, and going into the corner, he have dirty air from the car in front, but going the corner, he chose a line which doesn't give him dirty air and gave him clear air, which gave him a better exit than the people in front, which let them overtake 3 cars in one corner. By that, I think my method is proven to be right. But to conclude everything that I've been stated so far, F125 is still a game that needs improvement and needs a lot of improvement on realism. Despite its already innovations on dirty air and also slipstream, but by implementing these things which makes cars harder to drive, does it really makes our game better? Does it really makes racing fun again, like what we're racing back in F125, F123, F122, F121? Even if dirty air is a really great innovation to improving F1 games into more realism, but the player base wants a more fun and competitive game rather than a game which you cannot overtake by staying with the cars ahead. But I hope through this video you guys will be more knowledgeable on how to drive in dirty air and how to avoid dirty air in your next league race or in your next open lobby race, which you can improve your pace on. I have to admit, F125 is going in the direction which is towards realism, which I certainly support it on, but it's taking the fun out of the game. So EA, please balance your game.